It's been a long time since I've actually worked with a ZTE device, more specifically a high-end flagship level ZTE Axon phone. So to commemorate that, I'm going to go ahead and do the unboxing of this as we are ahead of the pre-order dates, and I want to show you some of my first thoughts on this before I get into my full content with this phone. This is Josh Vergara. What's going on, everybody? Here is my unboxing of the ZTE Axon 30 Ultra. The word Ultra is really starting to pop up in a lot of flagship devices these days, so let's see what ZTE has to offer and how they justify the moniker. We start off with the actual unboxing experience, and by the way, shout out to my homie Brian Fury for letting me film at his house. So what we have here is the actual box contents that start off with the phone itself. Getting the plastic off, I can already see that this phone has curves on both the front and the back, so hopefully we're not going to have too many problems with like palm rejection issues or anything like that, but I already see that the phone is a pretty sleek looking device, especially with this camera bump at the top, which houses three 64 megapixel shooters. It's got a good look to it. It even reflects like rainbow-like colors when the light hits it just right. And then over on the side to there, it actually says NeoVision photography. Oh, and by the way, there is that periscope camera underneath the three main sensors, but that is not a 64 megapixel shooter. I have the black edition, but the way that the light hits the matted glass backing makes it look a little more gray than anything else. There are a few other colors, but I'm liking the look so far of the Axon 30 Ultra. It definitely screams premium, and that's obviously what ZTE wants to exude with the name Ultra and with their flagship high-end phone. The bit underneath the phone has the SIM tool, and then a clear case is included. This mostly will be protecting that camera hump, as it just provides a bit of a lip so that the camera hump is not just scraping on whatever surface you have the back of the phone on. One interesting thing about this case, though, is that it doesn't hug the curve of the back on the sides. You still feel the lip of the frame even when you are using the case. It just mainly connects using the four corners of the phone. And then we get to the final bits, which include a charging cable and a 66-watt fast charging brick. It's awesome to see these included. You get the fast charger with the phone, compared to other phones that might be maybe $200, $300, $400 more expensive that don't even come with these accessories in the box. But now we get to the actual device, and again, I do like the look of the Axon 30 Ultra. It's not shy about the curves on both the front and the back, and we'll see how that affects the handling as I do my testing and final review of this phone. I feel like it does help a little bit with one-handed usage because the screen is pretty narrow. With this curve, you still get a 6.67-inch display. This is also an AMOLED display that comes in at 144 Hz refresh rate, which is nice to see here. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure Wild Rift is not going to support the high refresh rate on this phone, at least not yet. The display is a full HD plus panel, but it should be more than enough for anyone out there looking to enjoy media on this display, and for the mobile gamers out there, I know you guys like that high refresh rate. Of course, this is an Ultra device, so it has the latest and greatest processor. The Snapdragon 888 powers everything in this device. We'll get into the software a little bit later. I do have a couple of thoughts on that, but the other specifications supporting the processor really do exude that Ultra name. After all, you can get up to 1 terabyte of onboard storage and up to 16 gigabytes of RAM. That's pretty nuts. But with all that said, the phone is still pretty thin, which means that the battery is at a fairly somewhat above average 4600 milliamp hours. Once again, though, it is capable of that fast 66-watt fast charging. And it might be expected by now, but going around the device, you'll see there's no headphone jack, but there is a USB-C 2 headphone jack adapter included in the box. Almost forgot to show you that a second ago. But finally, during my setup, we do have the biometrics, which include the in-display fingerprint reader, which seems to be doing a pretty good job so far, but even faster than using that would be the face unlock, which during my setup, it just basically took a picture of my face. It was a very fast setup, which I thought was interesting. I'm not going to show any camera samples or video samples yet. I will just express how interested I am in the fact that this has three 64 megapixel sensors. You still get zoom capabilities with this periscope camera down here, but that is an 8 megapixel camera, definitely just there to support the three high-powered lenses. So you get your usual wide camera, and that main sensor also comes with OIS. The other 64 megapixel sensor is a more standard focal length. What I'm seeing here is that it's more like 35 millimeters, and apparently it's being used specifically for the portrait modes. Then of course you get an ultra wide on top of all of that. The periscope is obviously a telephoto lens, but again, that is an 8 megapixel shooter. One thing I will mention though for the front-facing camera, which is a 16 megapixel shooter, is that it is not able to do 4K video recording. You'll see the video quality settings here is just at 1080 and 720. So obviously the rear cameras are what ZTE are encouraging you to use for pretty much everything. And you get a lot of capabilities in the camera app. One thing I thought was interesting is that the video setting alone, the video mode, has a bunch of extra sub-modes. These include things like a movie mode, a vlog mode, slow motion. It's nice to see all of these features, which I tend to use in my vlogs for these phones, all consolidated into one place. But that's not to discredit that there are plenty of other modes as well under the More area. Things like a macro shooter, a full 64 megapixel high resolution mode, even a mono mode are available on this camera app. And then we have this version of Android, which is ZTE's edition called MyOS. Based on Android 11, this is MyOS 11, and I gotta say, it's pretty Spartan. I'm looking through the app drawer and I noticed that there aren't really any pieces of bloatware on here. I don't see really any ZTE specific applications, so kudos to them for keeping things pretty simple. Of course, on the main screens, you still get Google Discover over on the side, and going into the settings menus, I'm not overwhelmed by too many extra things that ZTE puts into this version of Android. But of course, I will explore more of the settings and more of the things that this version of Android provides as I use this thing on the daily. And so there you have it. Some really good first impressions so far on the ZTE Axon 30 Ultra. So far, this does feel like a very premium device, and this camera is definitely where we're going to go to next. So look forward to my real-world camera test here on my channel. For more on all of my content for this phone, make sure you subscribe to my channel, get into the comment sections, let me know what you think of this phone so far, and drop some likes on this video as well. From there, though, I'm going to go ahead and call it on this one. Thank you so much for watching. Please take care of yourselves and each other, and enjoy your tea, everybody.